Okay, good morning, world. How are we today? Yes, so I know the scheduling of my videos has completely changed from what it was in the beginning of starting the channel when I was uploading every day, pretty much. But with little Bubby, it is kind of a wait and see situation of if it's a good morning or not to turn on the video. Yeah, so bear with me. Now, what I wanted to talk about this morning was independence and choice making of elderly people in the community and that you know. And the reason why I want to talk about that this morning is because my neighbour, who I have spoken to you guys about before, who I just absolutely adore, recently, like a couple of weeks ago, she had a, kind of like medical issue come up, which, she's always had really good health except for diabetes, right? Which she has under control, like really under control. And anyway, so a couple of weeks ago, she wasn't doing so great because she had really low sodium in her body, sodium levels. And, it can be from drinking too much water and not having much salt in your diet, things like that, right? And anyway, she had to do a stint in hospital for like 6 days. And so they could like assess her for everything and monitor her and get her sodium levels back up and whatnot. And they also, when they discharged her, they had like stopped one medication that she was on and put her on a few other ones, and so sent her home with sort of like a bunch of medications and whatnot, which, by the way, really they should actually, part of their service at the hospital for, especially for elderly, should be that when they're dispensing a whole bunch of medications like that, they should send them home already kind of pre-worked out into pill boxes and things or something, because it's a bit much to be sent home from hospital and have to sort all that out yourself. I mean, really, even if you were not an elderly person, I feel like that's just a lot, Anyway, and so, and everybody knows as well that when you start a new medication or a bunch of new medications, it can take a couple of weeks, a good couple of weeks, for your body to adjust and, settle and whatnot with new medications. And anyway, and so I had gone over and made sure as well that her medications were being organised into her pill boxes correctly. We went through it together, looking at the different shapes and colours and going through all the different names and all that sort of stuff, and just making sure everything was correct, because I didn't want for her to accidentally take too much of something or miss out on something she's supposed to be having or whatever, right? And I don't feel like that's that she's incompetent or something. She's a very competent woman. I'm just gonna pull over for a minute because I feel like the camera's being funny, but also there's a truck coming and I don't want to sorry. Okay. Um yeah, so I was like helping her with her medications, and I mean, she came over and we had lunch, and she got to have cuddles with the new baby, and she'd been doing gardening and all sorts of things, right? And then then she gets home from being out and about one day, and her front tap is like busted and there's like water going everywhere, and she went over to go sort that out because she was like water wasting. And there's a big coiled up garden hose there. Well, it's actually like 4 hoses all like attached to each other, and she's like tripped over on it, like slipped or something, and she's got like a gravel driveway, so it's like she slipped. And I mean, it could have happened to the best of us. It could have happened to anyone. And so my partner had heard her calling out and went over and helped her up and sat her down on the bench by her front door and stuff. Then I once he let me know, then I was over there as well, making sure she was okay. And also another guy who like leases part of her farm for his cattle, he was also there very quickly, helping her, just making sure she was okay. And so she's got all these people around that like care and like can help her if she needed help with something. And then it's like, as soon as this has happened, it's like one of her friends and her family, and by family I mean her adult children, have kind of like pounced on this 2-week situation, and been like, no, she needs to get put into an aged care facility. She's past the point of being able to look after herself. And it's like, Scott doesn't, like the farmer guy, he doesn't think that she needs that. My partner and I don't think that she needs that. She's a very independent woman. She's part of like a women's, like Country Women's Association. She's a part of like judging, like gardening competition things. She helps other elderly people with stuff, including hairdressing for them, because she was a hairdresser in her lifetime. She is a part of the church. She's a part of the local community house. She's got friends everywhere. She gardens a lot. I mean, like, her property is just like a botanic gardens, and she did all that. And yeah, okay, her husband died several years ago, and she's been, on her own for a while, but she has been managing everything just fine. And her health, she's been managing her health perfectly well as well. She's always telling me about, she's going off to go see the podiatrist, or she's going off to go get this checked, or whatever. Like, she takes care of herself. She's responsible with her health and everything. She eats really well. She's on a really good diet, specifically for her diabetes. Like, I talk to her all the time, and to me, she's never seemed like she's got something cognitively like wrong with her or anything like that. And from time to time, we all might tell somebody, the same story, forgetting that we've already told somebody that, or whatever, like, from time to time. You know what I mean? Like, so what? She does not have dementia or anything like that, And anyway, and so, but it's like her adult children and this one particular friend are like just like throwing her under the bus and making everything, like, exaggerating stuff and like making everything seem like, yep, no, she can't live by herself, she's falling over, Her blood pressure is going up and down. She's past the point of being able to live by herself. She needs to get put in an actual home. And, even at the suggestion of that, well, maybe she should still be able to live at home because that's what she wants. And just have some in-home support and nursing care, which is a thing. People who are physically or mentally or just in age or disability, in worse positions than my neighbour, they get the support to live independently in their home and in their community. I don't see why she can't, if she did need help with anything, maybe with all of her gardening, maybe she could use a bit of a hand, or maybe over time she might need a bit of hand with things to do with home maintenance or housework or something like that. Sure, maybe that would be handy for her. Maybe getting some online shopping organised for her might be handy for her. She's an 83-year-old woman. But, I just don't see why it is that her adult children, which, by the way, one of them lives in another country and the other one lives in a different part of Australia. And it's like they've heard that she had a fall, and the one that lives in Australia has come down and basically come down already with the intention of locking her up in a home. And it's like they don't consider for a second, her adult children don't consider for a second what that might do to their mother mentally and emotionally. How do you just take a person who is very able, who loves spending time in her beautiful garden, who loves spending time being independent and visiting friends and doing all her hobbies and interests and things, what she does, which is a lot, by the way. It's a lot. How do you take a person like that and just go shove them into an aged care facility that's for high need aged care, where maybe the most exciting part of her day will be sitting in a small courtyard that maybe has a few ornamental plants, because aside from that, what do they do in aged care homes? I've been in plenty. You get told when you're going to eat. You get told, basically what you're doing all the time. You have to sit down and talk to somebody who does have dementia or who is pooping their own pants, and you don't know any of these people. That everyone's a stranger to you, and what, you got to play bingo or read some books or do some arts and crafts or something, things that are just not even interests of yours. My neighbour is a very outdoorsy person, and she's a very active person, and her family just doesn't seem to understand what they are taking away from her by trying to lock her up in one of these homes, which she doesn't need. She doesn't need that level of care. How can she come over and have lunch and cups of tea with me and hold my newborn baby and spend time with my other young daughter and hold perfectly sane and rational conversations with my partner and I, and the other day on the phone she was giving me directions of how to get to this particular bakery that sells Dutch raisin bread because it's better than the raisin bread you get from the supermarket. Telling me street names to go down and all these sort of things. She is not a person that should be locked into an aged care facility, and having her freedom and her whole life and everything that she knows and loves taken away from her. And it's really upsetting to me that, you know, I'm not her actual blood relative. But I feel very, you know, like, I feel very much like I need to sort of advocate for her and help, you know, build her confidence about standing up for herself in decision making right now, because it's like she's just being ganged up on, and that's even how she said she feels. She feels like she's being like ganged up on by her family and this one particular friend, and everyone telling her what's going to be happening. Like, she has no say, you know, and how upsetting for her, you know. Even her home, you know, it's been her home for, you know, most of her life. You know, there's family ties to this property as well, like going back generations. You know, it was the home that she lived in with her husband and that she raised her children in. You know, and she's been managing just fine. I just don't understand how family members can just completely disregard, you know, their parents' wishes and best interests and everything, because maybe it's easier for them to just like get her put in a home, like set and forget, and then they don't have to worry about her or feel guilty that they live far away from her if she did need help with something. You know, like, don't worry, guys. Look, you know, the people that she's got here, we've got it, you know, and there are services that even through the government, you know, that help elderly folk be independent, still living in their own home, you know, even in a worse, you know, medical situation than what she is. I'm not even say she was bad at all, you know. And anyway, she needs assessment and all that sort of stuff to like get services and things provided for her. And I'm going to look into it all. I'm going to help her get the assessment and do the application, you know, so that she can live her life how she wants to be living it, where she wants to be living it. Because otherwise, like, she didn't even know that that was a thing. No one even has said to her, like, from her friends or family, no one has even said to her, oh, did you know that you can have like services and care, you know, like in your own home, to so that you can remain independent and living, you know, in your own home where you want to, in your community, and No one's even told her that. Only me. I was the only person who has said, hey, just so you know, this is also an option. You know, so I'm going to help her organising that. And Bubby is waking up and I have to go. And I look terrible right now. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I will see you all soon.